Hey guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Bump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Brian, and with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How are you tonight, Psycho?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm not completely tired.
That's good. Well, you shouldn't be after the long vacation you had.
Yes, that's why we didn't record the previous week, because I was on a cruise to the Eastern Caribbean.
This is true. This is true. But what a week it's been in the world of wrestling. So this month, or this week, we're actually going to be talking about, as it's getting closer to WrestleMania, they're going to start announcing Hall of Fame inductees for this year. Well, before they do that, let's talk you and I, who we think should go in to the Hall of Fame for 2024. But before we do that, as we have started recently, let's talk about the news of the wrestling world.
Yes, I think the big news that I heard when I came back from my cruise and everything, because I did not have internet, so if you tried to reach me, I wasn't getting it. I was out of the country.
I didn't, but somebody else did.
I know. You know about that?
I do.
Is it the person that I'm thinking of?
I would assume so. I don't know how many people reach out to you on the reg, so
Andrew Sowell?
that would be the one.
Was I supposed to say that name? No.
He's also a host here on Be Hero Presents for Slightly Agitated.
So yeah, that would make sense that you're talking. So did he mention it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he wondering? Was he asking why I wasn't responding to him?
Yeah, he's like, hey, have we heard from Psycho in a minute? I'm like, yeah, he's out on a cruise right now, brother. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. And then he told me why. So
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I felt bad when I got back. I was like, sorry, I was out of the country. And yeah, I figured that you would tell, because okay, so we won't get into what he was asking me, but he was like, please, and I was just like, I got that after, and I was like, sorry, my internet's not. Yeah, I did not get the internet package on this cruise, so I was completely not engaged with society.
Right. Well, you missed the Super Bowl too, right?
I got to watch the Super Bowl on the cruise ship. It was amazing. So they had it on. I was actually laying. So I was watching it. They had a theater screen above the swimming pool that they had there. So I was in a lounge chair watching it on this giant screen, and they would come around and like had snacks, and take your drink orders and all that. And so it was pretty cool. It was fun. It was a good game too. But it was fun watching it with a bunch of strangers. It was probably about 50-50 on who they were rooting for, but it was a lot of fun.
You missed out on being entertained by me watching the game.
I know, but I'm sure you were losing your mind there towards the end.
Oh yeah. But with that being said, yes, the important big news of the week. And that is
The Rock going full blown heel. So like we talked about the press conference last episode.
Right here in Salt Lake City too.
Yes, that is true. I missed that. But yeah, he leaned completely into it. So it wasn't like a tweener thing or anything like that. He completely went in on the crowd. I watched the promo afterwards, and it was like old school Rock, it was good, I thought.
I really enjoyed it. It definitely cracked me up a ton, like old school Rock did. But he did it in a heelish way, so you laugh, but you're like, "You're such a dick," which is great because shortly after that aired, WWE's TikTok posted a video of Wade Barrett and Corey Graves, the SmackDown announcers now, them just laughing their asses off at it the whole time, just watching them just like crack up on everything that was being said. And of course, in Salt Lake, there's specific Salt Lake things like the 40 wives and everything else. Dude, it was great. Also, one of our wrestling trainees here at the Motion Championship Wrestling. Well, I'm gonna say wrestlers in general, because I think she's moved on from trainee, but she made her official appearance in WWE for the first time. Reina, Queen of Dragons, or
Oh,
King of
I
Dragons.
didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, she was one of the servers that went into the Bloodlines room.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, so you see her there. So it was a great time. She had a great time. We had a number of our guys at SmackDown that night as extras. So,
Was she super stoked about that?
oh, dude, she couldn't be like any happier. That she actually had two spots. One you see her face, like as you see her face, and as she turns into the room. The other one you only see her from behind. But yeah, she couldn't be more stoked. She was super excited. And who knows? That might be,
Yeah.
hit back 5 years from now, as in the first appearance of the King of Dragons on WWE. So
Yeah, I couldn't be happier for her.
yeah,
And I don't know if I've mentioned on the show or not, but
Jesus Christ,
I was the one that kind of led her on that path. So
the one.
the one, yes. Yes.
um oh man, but congratulations to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Rock heel turn, man, and fully turning into it, like, I think this is possibly the best possible scenario going into the WrestleMania that they could have done for everything that was going on. Like we talked about multiple episodes ago, um our worries about what was going to happen with the Rock, as it was trying to uh, have this match, right? But they have swerved and pivoted so well into this. I think it's going to end up being better with this than it would have been without it. I think it's going to make that much more powerful for Cody to win.
I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to now. In my
Oh yeah,
Well, here's the thing. Because yes, all signs point, oh, big crowning moment for Cody, right? However, if Rock is with the bloodline, and they go down that path, tell me that doesn't give brand new life to the bloodline story, to where it could go on past this and Roman retains again, and the chase is still go. I mean, you'd think that would kill Cody dead. However, I think with Rock being there, if this is a long game story with it all, um it's possible that Roman could keep it going even longer because it's still got steam with the Rock there. So I don't know. You'd think that Cody's winning, but we've been convinced that Roman was losing before. I remember 2 years ago, you were like, "There's no
uh-huh.
way he makes it to next year's WrestleMania," and then he did, and then but he's not. Cody's going to beat him at this WrestleMania, and then he didn't, right? And so, like, who's to say for sure?
I mean, you're not wrong. At this point, I'm not going to bet on anything when it comes to this storyline, but I do think it'd be a bad move if they don't have Cody win it here. That being said, it doesn't mean that Cody leaves WrestleMania with the belt.
We could have a cash in, is what you're saying.
Correct.
I don't think. Here's my thing. I don't see a place where Damian Priest is like. I could see Damian Priest being like a transitional champ where he cashes it in, wins it, and then he drops it right back to somebody, or something like that. But
Mhm.
I don't see where he plays into Roman, Cody, all of that, I just don't see it. So I don't know what's going to happen there, and I can't see him ending WrestleMania I just don't see him at that level yet.
What what I would like to see happen, especially because WrestleMania is kind of the rubber for everything. Pretty much, it starts a whole new year at the Raw after WrestleMania, right? Like everything should end at WrestleMania. What I'd like to see is Cody win it, the Bloodline attack, and then somehow they fend everybody off or whatever, and then Damien come in to cashes it in, and R-Truth screws him out of it because of the storyline that they have with the Judgment Day and R-Truth. Cody still retains, but R-Truth is kind of the over of the whole thing. So R-Truth and Cody end up like being a big pop at the end, because right now R-Truth is huge
Yeah.
in the company right now, with it being over with all of this stuff with the Bloodline, or assuming the Judgment Day.
You know what I could see happening? I see it's far more likely. I see Damian Priest cashing in against Seth. I think that seems more likely that he would go after that belt, especially with Seth being kind of banged up. I could see Seth retaining against whoever he's up against, and then Damian Priest cashes in on him. I could see that as a real possibility.
That's also a high possibility, and I could see that too. I'd almost put money down that if Drew doesn't beat Seth at WrestleMania, that the cash in will happen on Seth. Because I think that makes the most
It does.
sense.
I see him playing more into that story. There would have more legs to it, and that would be more believable to me than having him inserted into a Bloodline Cody type of scenario. I just don't see a place for him in that.
Well, the only reason I say that is it's a thing that they do with Cody a lot, right? Where Cody wins more, or he gets the Mora win, but he doesn't really win. And I think the cash in of him winning the title, but then or the story of him winning the title, but then getting cashed in and getting the loss, or making it seem like that might be what happens, is more down the traditional road that they do with
I could
Cody.
see that too. I would say if they were going to do that, I don't see that happening at WrestleMania. I would think they do that the night after WrestleMania, if that was going to be the thing. I think if you're going to do that, you have Cody win at WrestleMania, and then the next night the Bloodline do a beatdown on him or something. And then Damian Priest cashes in the night after WrestleMania, and that gives the night after WrestleMania the buzz, that it usually gets.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And it also leaves the WrestleMania people happy.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, either of those work, and even with the Seth story, that works too. I see though that weekend, including Monday, within like those 3 days, Damian cashing in.
Yeah, I think so.
Because after that, what would be the point?
Yeah, I mean, and then it'll be almost time for a new Money in the Bank. So yeah, I see that. I see him attempting or cashing it in at some point within that weekend.
Yeah. Well, along with all of that, with The Rock and the futures of WrestleMania kind of both settled and in flux at the same time, a lot of things have had to change in WrestleMania due to a number of notable injuries from a variety of different people across the board. From Charlotte Flair tearing her ACL, MCL, meniscus, to Punk tearing his bicep, to just recently, as of technically last week, but aired this week, Shotzi, who was supposed to be in the Elimination Chamber match. She had tore her ACL as well in a match against Laya Valkyria,
Right.
the current NXT women's champion. And then even in AEW recently, injuries have been happening, such as that gruesome looking injury to Jeff Hardy by Sammy Guevara, an accidental injury, of course. For those who haven't seen it, Sammy is going for a shooting star press, which honestly is one of the most dangerous moves. So many people have been injured by the shooting star press, or even like a moonsault. More than, like, I'd even say a pile driver at this point. But he ends up, Jeff puts his knees up for the spot. Sammy's supposed to eat the knees gut first, but I'm pretty sure Sammy slips off the rope when he jumps off, so it kind of turns him in a weird axis. and ends up dropping his left knee almost 100% of his weight right onto Jeff's face,
It looked brutal.
shattering his nose, damaging his orbital bone, and the after-match videos that I've seen, them trying to get Jeff out of the ring, Jeff's wobbling all over the place. I'm sure he had to have had a concussion. They say that he didn't have a concussion when he was checked, but the way he was acting and looking, it looked like a concussion on tape to me. So, but it was gruesome. I mean, happily they pretty much stopped the match at that point. They finished the match. They went for a pin, stayed down, did the whole gimmick. But it was gruesome looking. So, not as gruesome as the Andretti, not Andretti, the ankle injury by what's his name from God, that tag team that my brain just turned off on. It was like 6 months ago. He just came back. Dominic, or not Dominic. Dante Martin from AEW. I don't know if you remember this. There was a spot where he was taking a Canadian destroyer from the apron to the outside onto some tables, and they overshot the tables. And when he landed and shattered his ankle. But look at the video; it was horrible. That's probably the worst AEW injury I've seen so far. But this one for Jeff is right up there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's almost Nitro level, or not Nitro.
No, not quite that bad.
No, well, Sid was bad too.
That was probably the worst I've ever seen.
It was Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the ladder shot with Mercury.
Oh, that was brutal.
But yeah, there have been so many injuries though in the last month, maybe month and a half, in the wrestling business right now. It's quite scary. So
yeah, it's I don't know, and I'm on the fence with. I know that there's been a lot of talk about how Sammy Guevara is reckless, because he's kind of had. This isn't the first person that he's injured. I know that he had this situation with Matt Hardy a few years ago.
The concussion, but I don't know if I blame Sammy for that. People have.
Oh my gosh, both Hardys! I just realized.
Yeah, who he idolized as a kid, by the way. But I don't know if I blame Sammy for that one. Really, it was a spot that shouldn't have been approved, anyways. But because it was a dumb spot.
Yeah, it was the but I don't know. I think I don't know. I think it was an unfortunate accident, and I actually do see a lot of potential in Sammy Guevara. I just I don't know. I'm on the fence about it as far as whether or not he's reckless or if he needs to, not do certain moves. I don't know.
I think Sammy Guevara is potentially the future of AEW, honestly. For a lot of different reasons, but his ring ability is probably the least of that. And it's due to how young he still is in the business. I think he's 7 years in, which for some people sounds like it's a long time. In the wrestling business, it's really not. Unless you're The Rock. But 7 years in, like, he's still learning tempo. He's learning match structure. You're still learning a ton when it comes to that. And I think that's a lot of what his problem is he just goes so fast. And if you can go with someone that can go fast, great. But when you're going with somebody like Jeff Hardy, who really didn't go terribly quick comparison to people now back in his heyday, but his body's wrecked. He can't go that quick. But Sammy wants to go quick. They only know his one speed. So it makes it really difficult to try and keep up, let alone to keep safe. you want to go slow. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. Any other news we have? I've got one other bit of news for you, if you've got nothing else.
You go. I've got nothing. I was out of the country for a week, so I'm sorry if I'm missing anything, guys. But
So this isn't directly the world of wrestling news, but this is news for the Psycho himself, which normally I would do off the air, but I'm intrigued to see his reaction.
okay.
I have done something that I've never done in nearly 20 years in this business.
I
I
know.
bought.
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was
No,
gonna say I know it's not beating Psycho because I would have known about that. So go.
yeah, and I've done that. Finally, I did that 2 years ago.
Yes.
No, in my whole time in the wrestling business, from the very first day I stepped in the ring at my very first training, I've used the exact same wrestling shoes. I've used them the whole time. I've never bought boots. I've never bought any other shoes to work in the ring with. Nothing. I've used the same set of shoes for 19 years
Jeez.
until now. I finally was able to get some new shoes. Mind you, I'm cheap, so they were on clearance. But they're going to work with my CEO gimmick because I'm actually changing a lot of my color scheme to it in a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Not reflection, a
Neon.
homage
Okay. Oh, homage.
to the person that trained me.
Okay.
So these lovely white and green wrestling shoes
Nice.
are part of my new wrestling gear, including a green blazer and green suspenders with a white shirt. I'm still using the black pants for now because the company I get my pants through, they don't have the color available in a green. But so I think black will work fine. And I don't want to wear white because I would be having to buy new ones every other show because people are dirty. But I am definitely going with the obscenely green as a homage to Psycho here, who trained me initially.
Very nice. If you start painting your face green, or
I'll do a white. I'll grow
just
out my long curly hair and
there
make
you go.
that all green.
Yeah, that might be more difficult.
I'll grow out my curly beard then and just paint
Well,
that
there
all
you
green.
go. There you go.
For those who don't know, Psycho back in the day, long ago, when he still had hair, had the greenest of green hair that was the curliest thing that you've ever seen. Like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't really hair as it was he dyed a poodle and put it on his head.
You,
Um,
you know what's funny though is that there's still fans to this day that think it was a wig.
no.
And I have to tell them, because people have come up to me and be like, oh, I was watching you, when you had the green wig, and I was like, that was not a wig. No, that was my actual hair, and they
Yeah.
couldn't believe it.
Oh, as much as you had to dye it, the bleach it and then dye it on the reg to keep it that green, there's no wonder you're bald.
Yep. That's what did it.
Yep. All right, guys. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's topic. As we talked about at the beginning of the show, this week's topic is who should go in the Hall of Fame for WWE in 2024. And I'm going to start off.
Okay.
I usually let you go, but I really only got one that comes to my mind, and it is probably the most likely that's going to go in there this year. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out he's the headliner of this year's one.
Okay.
And that is, oh my gosh, my brain just turned off in his actual name. Bray Wyatt, whose name is, escape me, something Rotunda. And
Wyndham Rotunda.
it's just gone.
It's Wyndham Rotunda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wyndham Rotunda. he is 100% going in this year, and I would not be surprised to find out he's the headliner. In fact, I'd be surprised if he wasn't the headliner this year.
Um, I do believe that he's probably going in. Um, I do not know. He could be the headliner. Usually they don't have somebody that's passed away be the headliner in most cases.
Hmm.
Um, I because I have another prediction, and I don't know if it'll be this year or whatnot, but um there was somebody that actually was supposed to get inducted in 2020, but the whole pandemic happened, and so they weren't able to make it that, when they did the redo the following year.
Mm.
So they weren't able to do that, make it there for either of those two. So he missed 2020, 2021. And then we thought he was going to get it in LA, and for whatever reason, I think he was filming a movie, and so couldn't do it. But Dave Bautista is somebody that could get inducted officially this year. And if that's the case, then I can't imagine he would not be the headliner.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really think it'd be either. Those would be the two most likely if they did it for Batista this year.
Mhm.
Batista would definitely have the name recognition for um, both the regular fans as well as the not so regular fans. Um, where Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, would also have it for, well, all the fans in general, but also for the fields, right? I could totally see either of them going that way. And they don't very often, when someone's passed away, have them as the headliner, but I could see them doing that. Similarly, like, and I know no time soon, if ever, are they ever going to induct Owen or going to be allowed to induct Owen. But if they were ever to induct Owen, Owen would be a headliner, right?
I would
And
I
I
would think if they were going, if there was a time they were going to induct Owen, I think you do it in a Canada
oh, agreed.
WrestleMania. If they're doing
Uh,
that would it would
well,
have
I'm
to
not
be
suggesting that they're doing that this year because they're not. Um,
right. No, it's in
yeah,
Philadelphia. It doesn't make
but
sense.
what I'm saying is, if they were to have, like, if they do,
Mhm.
or when they ever they do, if they do induct him, even though he's passed many years ago now, uh, he would be the headliner, just because
Mhm.
the everything that he was, right. Bray Wyatt, especially for fans nowadays, he's very much on that level as a fan favorite, like, character, right? He is so beloved as a name that he would still be, I think, worth doing the headliner, even over Batista.
Yeah. Um I mean I'm not going to argue one way or another there, because I think you could go either way with that and be perfectly fine
Mm,
either way. Um I think because it's in Philadelphia, I think you have to put somebody in there that's that's got credibility in Philadelphia, like an ECW type, or even somebody, from the hardcore world.
mhm.
You have to put somebody like that, and there's some really good options, maybe even more than one. I know that, like, Booker T would have on his podcast has been campaigning for the Nasty Boys to get inducted, which would be great for a tag team. You know, um, I think that they would deserve it.
I agree, and they often try to do at least one tag team every year
Mhm.
or group.
I think Nasty Boys would be a good one for this year, because even though they weren't like ECW or anything, but they were known for their hardcore style. So I think that would be a great place for them to do
Yeah,
it. Um, and I
if
think
it's not them,
as far
Public
as
Enemy would be
ECW,
also a decent one for it too. ECW
I
wise,
think that's very right. I still think that's very unlikely that they're getting in. Partially because there's only one of them that's is there one alive, or are they both passed away? I think they might both
They
be
might both
passed.
be actually. Yeah, now that I think about it, because
And
Joey
so,
died shortly after he was here in Salt Lake.
yeah, right. Yep.
And the other one was it Rick? I feel like Rick was the name, right?
Well, it was their wrestling names were Rocco Rock
Rocco Rock. That's what it was.
and Johnny
Yeah,
Grunge. So you're thinking of Johnny.
Johnny. Yeah.
That yeah,
Um, and Rocco. I think Rocco went before Johnny.
that might be actually.
So, but didn't when they were out here because they came as a tag
Mhm.
team. I think it was
Mm,
Johnny's.
It was only Rock. No, it was only the one.
Well, I swear they came out
It
as a
was
tag
only.
team, not
It
the
was
not the original
no.
tag team, but they came out as Public Enemy, and I think it was supposed to be Joey and Johnny Grunge at the time.
Oh, that might be. That was not. Yeah, that wasn't the team that was known as Public Enemy. I mean, the
But yeah, but
original
they came
team.
out as Public Enemy. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
right, right,
one of
right.
them might still be around. I mean, I guess I could look it up. But anyhow, if you're going down that path, though, there's really only one ECW name that should go into a Hall of Fame at this point.
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman's a definite possibility. And he's definitely had a Hall of Fame career, and that would be a great place, for here's the thing though. If you're inducting Paul Heyman in Philadelphia, I could see Paul Heyman being the headliner.
Yes. That would something that I could see going over Bray Wyatt in that scenario. If that was the case, though, you start with Bray.
Yeah, I could see that.
Johnny
But
did die in 06.
mhm.
I didn't see Rocco Rock. Continue.
And yeah, Paul Heyman would be unbelievable in Philadelphia. And who would induct Paul Heyman? That would be an interesting one. It's not going to be Brock.
No.
It's not.
Punk?
Punk is a possibility.
Tommy,
if they can get him away from TNA, if they could strike something there. Rob Van Dam.
RVD, yeah. And yeah, Rocco died before Johnny in 02.
Yeah. But yeah, somebody like that, and to induct him,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it'd be Roman Reigns. I just don't think it would be.
No.
But yeah, that would be Paul Heyman. That would make this Hall of Fame class. I mean, that one would be awesome. If you're going to induct anybody else, I mean, you could do a Tommy Dreamer. I don't see it at this point, especially with him working with TNA at the moment.
Yeah. Sandman, maybe? Raven.
Maybe. Yeah, Vince was still running things Raven wouldn't. But with Triple H, maybe. I would love to see Scott Levy get inducted. I think his speech for induction would be amazing.
No.
And then you'd have to have Tommy induct him, I would think.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that would be great.
Greatest rivalry in ECW, possibly, or probably like if not the greatest, one of the greatest.
Right. That would be a great one. Yeah, I mean, those would be the major ones from ECW that would get any sort of a buzz. I mean, because who else are you going to induct? Rhino? Probably not. I mean, Taz. Like, Taz would be a great one if he wasn't over at AEW.
Yeah, Taz not right now.
Yeah,
it would be highly unlikely for Taz.
Right, highly unlikely there.
And for some reason too, like even though it's ECW, like I would feel Taz would be bigger in New York.
I could see that. For sure.
So
yeah, those ones.
Rhino.
Yeah, I just mentioned Rhino.
Oh, it shows you how much I'm listening. Jerry Lynn.
Maybe. maybe. I think he's an agent with AEW though, so I think
Yeah.
that one might be a stretch. Yeah, I don't know who else you'd get. I think Paul Heyman's the shoe-in.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think even though he's still managing and everything like that, I think that doesn't matter.
Rey
He
Mysterio
could,
got inducted into
yeah,
wrestling still.
exactly. And I think that by having Paul Heyman inducted, it would add a, a little bit something extra to the main event of WrestleMania because he could, even in his Hall of Fame speech, he could plug the WrestleMania main event,
Oh, and he
with
totally would.
Roman Reigns. Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
Um,
I don't think there's a bigger brain for this business outside of Paul Heyman since Bobby the Brain. Like when it comes to stuff like this, like the ability of talking, the ability of selling a story, and everything
mhm.
else, and obviously writing stories and things like that. Like Paul is the guy. Paul is what every booker should strive to be, as well as every manager should strive to be.
Yeah. And outside of those guys, I mean, there's another big name they could do, but I just don't see it this year in Philadelphia. Is The
Be a little
Rock?
bit Killy Cuddy. Oh,
Well, I was saying The Rock. He's right there, everything, but I don't think you do it now because if they really want to drive home the heel thing, you do it after the fans are back on his side again
yeah.
and all of that, and I would think you do that in a place like Miami or something like that.
Oh yeah, Miami, Hollywood.
Yeah, LA or Miami, that's where you
Huge.
do that.
Um, one that I think deserves to go in, or two that I want to bring up real fast that I think deserves to go in, but I'm not sure would go in now.
Mhm.
One I can see going in now because they need that female one is
Mm.
Victoria, right?
Victoria would be fantastic.
Or Tara, depending on what company she's working for. Uh, she's well deserved of it. She was one of the only true wrestling women at the time during the Divas wrestling era. So she would totally be worth more than not worth, but more than deserving of it. But one that I'm surprised looking through the list of people who've been inducted, I'm not seeing yet, and did just recently sign a Legends contract, and that's Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock would be a good one. I could see them inducting him. Um, yeah, that would be a good one. Um, as far as women goes, yeah, I think Victoria's long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Miss Elizabeth deserves to be in there. I don't think Philadelphia is the place to do it though. Um, Gosh, I would think for women, mm, who would get? I mean, a Francine would be cool.
Yeah.
Um, I don't see that happening, but uh, that Missy Hyatt maybe that could be cool. But you're probably I think you do somebody like a Victoria there. As far as celebrity, like this for the celebrity one, um, they one of these days they need to do Cyndi Lauper because I think
Yeah.
that's. I mean, how do you have a celebrity Hall of Fame and not have Cyndi Lauper in it already? Like
I mean, I agree. At this point, she's well worth having in there, well deserving of it.
WrestleMania was built around Cyndi Lauper, and the whole rock and wrestling. It's like, yeah, I think she added so much at that time that really catapulted the WWF at the time. Um, I think as far as celebrities go, she's kind of one that's glaringly missing. Um,
Yeah.
I think. Oh gosh. As far as missing, Uh, I mean, I feel Conan deserves to go in. I don't know if you do it in Philadelphia. I think California or Texas would probably be a good place to induct
Yeah,
this
Southern
for Conan.
California, I think would be the best place for Conan if they were to do
Mhm.
it for him. But I agree, Conan definitely. Um, one too that I don't know if now is the time, but I really think deserves to go in at some point, especially because of all of his back stage roles and stuff that he's done. Is Jamie Noble?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while for Jamie Noble if ever. I just don't think I get it with what you're saying as far as that stuff goes. I think that um I just don't think he's a big enough name, to go in. I mean, yes, we have Coco Beware's in there and things like that, but there was a lot more of a following back then in the 80s for nostalgia for somebody like a Coco Beware. Um
Well, every year they always do like not a random one per se, but they always kind of do like the workhorse
mhm,
style person, right? The person that might not have had the hugest recognition in by the fans, but was recognized by the boys, right? And I think Jamie Noble would fit that. Again, I don't know if this is the place to do it. I think like somewhere like Tennessee or Kentucky or Georgia, somewhere in that range, that'd be a better place for him. But I think he's deserving of it. Him and Shane Helms as well.
mhm.
Um, for either of those. Uh, but they're not ones to headline by any means.
No, no,
They're going
no,
to
no.
be middle of the card, right?
Mhm,
Kind of scenarios, kind of like you have where you have like the later ones, like Booker T's wife, Shamel or
mhm.
Charmel.
Yeah. You know who would be a good one to put in there in Philadelphia? Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah,
I mean, with his hardcore background and everything like that, that would be an interesting one to hear his speech and everything. It's um Kevin Sullivan I would get excited for. At some point you've got to have Jim Cornette go in. Uh I don't think Philadelphia is the place to do it.
no.
I don't know where it is, but
Again,
it'd have to be something southern.
I was gonna say like
Yeah.
Georgia again,
Mhm.
like somewhere in that
Right.
range.
M-
Possibly
Maybe
Florida as
North
far down as that
Carolina
far.
or Carolinas if they do one there
Yeah,
or something like that. Um,
but yeah, Jim Cornette would definitely be that.
yes. Um, I'm trying to think of who else like hardcore could go in. I mean, I think
Is Holly in there?
hardcore Holly? He is
Yeah,
not.
and good old Sparkplug, he could definitely go in. And he had a name recognition, and he kind of brought a hardcore to WWE in a way. Like he became the face of hardcore for a while. Same for Al Snow.
Mm-hmm. Um, Al Snow would be an interesting one. Um,
Al Snow was in like great shape, by the way. If you guys haven't seen him, follow him on OVW. Like he's on the Wrestlers Netflix show. Um, but like Al was in great shape. He's in better shape now than I think he was ever in.
yeah. Gosh, yeah. And I would love to hear an Al Snow acceptance speech. I think it would both be funny and very, very interesting and entertaining, and educational.
Agreed. And if he, ends up as a Hall of Famer in WWE, that's just gonna make Manny happy because then it will be able to announce the Al Snow Wrestling Academy of Utah is the Hall of Famer Al Snow Wrestling Academy of Utah.
Yes. Um, Lex Luger would be an interesting one. I don't know if Philadelphia is the place to do it, but he deserves to go in before he's gone.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I would love to see a Lex Luger speech. He has had such an interesting story that that'd be good. William Regal.
Regal would be a great one. But I would say if they end up doing WrestleMania in London,
Yes.
that's where I would do Regal and have him be the headliner.
Oh, 100%. If you're doing it in England, he has to be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good old Steven Regal.
What about somebody?
A man's man.
What about somebody like a Mickey James?
I can see Mickey James going in. I don't know if now is the time, especially with her still wrestling.
Yeah, I mean,
Not saying that you can't, because again,
Ray.
we mentioned Ray, but she's also still wrestling for a different company, right? Though there's a working relationship, it seems like, with Impact, TNA. I don't know if now's the time, but at the same time, her husband and baby daddy is the general manager of SmackDown. So
there you go. A good one, another good one that deserves it is Demolition. I think I don't know if Philadelphia is the right place for Demolition to go in, but they definitely deserve it. The sooner the better.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, is Barry Windham in it?
Oh, Windham. He is not. No, I'm sorry, he is.
Yes. Okay.
He is.
As far as, like, if Bray Wyatt gets in, you know who should induct him? It should be Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda.
Yeah.
Because then you've got Windham Rotunda. You see what I did there? So it's that would be, because that's what he's named after. I mean, and obviously his dad is IRS, right? Mike Rotunda. So, and then having Barry Windham, be there to induct him as well. And then I think accepting it would obviously be JoJo.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Be JoJo, and then Bo right there with her.
I could see that. Yep, I could see that.
Because Bo Dallas is essentially hanging with JoJo all the time, helping her with everything. So
yeah, so that's I'd really like to see that, actually. Gosh, I'm trying to think of anybody else that I could see going in Philadelphia. Gosh. There's plenty that like deserve to go in, but they're working for other companies or something, like a Christian or or the Hardys. I don't think Philadelphia is the right place for either of those. No. But even if they weren't working for another company,
Jericho, same thing.
Right. And if when Jericho eventually goes in, because we know he will eventually, when he goes in, there's 3 places it could be. That, obviously Canada, right? Obviously Florida could be another.
Yep.
But then also New York, because his dad played for the
Rangers.
The Rangers up there.
Yep.
So either of those 3 places I think would be great for Jericho to go in.
I see Canada being the most likely, but if they do one in Canada, there's like 40 people that they can induct next time.
Right. Because if you induct Jericho and you induct Owen, I don't think Owen's headlining. I think he'd go second.
Oh, you think he'd fall down the list?
Oh my God. That's usually a good. I didn't make it, ladies and gentlemen. It was not me.
I couldn't help myself.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Cannot believe you went there. And yet I can.
Yeah. I learned from the best.
Yes, I think. Jesus. I think Jericho would headline now. Yeah, Jericho would definitely climb the walls. That's not as good as yours. I'm sorry.
No. um, with all that being said, uh, there are a variety of people that could easily be inducted. Um,
I've got an interesting question on that.
okay.
Obviously, it's not going to happen this year. Maybe never. And that's kind of my question. Do you think we'll ever see the day now that Vince McMahon gets inducted?
Yes, but he'll be dead, and it'll be a long time from now. Let's say that. I mean, I guess the question goes to being how everything happens from this point on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in the current moment, everything is a legal case, not a criminal case,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
As a legal case, if it stays that way 5-10 years from now, I could see them inducting him, maybe more closer to 10 years, right? Inducting him into there.
And he'd obviously be the headliner, right?
I would assume so. But
Yeah,
I think you'd have to.
Benoit would be the opener.
Oh, man.
He was going to be, Benoit would have been the headliner, but he choked. Oh.
Well, this is how he got canceled. This episode is the one we can cancel
this
him.
episode.
But no, in like 10 years, McMahon's died. And I think that they could theoretically do it at that point. It'd still be very tangential about whether they do it or not. If it goes to a criminal case, it'll never happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it's looking like it's very possible that could happen. I know the feds rated them, and very recently in the Wall Street Journal, they mentioned how the feds are talking with 4 other women that have come forward, and I mean, we could have easily put that in the news section now that I think about it, but that's 4 other women. If it's as bad as this one and all that, and they do a criminal case, yeah, it'll be bad. It'll be which is sad. It's really sad that all of the how do you look back on a lot of WWE memories without thinking of Vince McMahon and without telling that side of the story?
It's depending on what the story is, obviously, but
Right.
like if you're looking back at like the first WrestleMania, right, or anything like that, you have to separate the man from the art. You have to do the same thing with like.
You could say the same thing about Chris Benoit, but that's not happening. Right, but do you think he'll ever get inducted?
No,
not a chance.
Sadly, no. There's several people that like would deserve a scenario like that, but because of situations, they never will. Right? I'm surprised that Carlito's dad got inducted
because of the whole Bruiser Brody
thing. Yeah.
And again, it's probably because never was convicted.
Yeah. Well, even under suspicion, honestly.
Right.
For legal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And again, allegedly on all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also one too that could easily go in. I don't think Brody is in here.
No, I don't
Bruiser
think so.
Bruiser Brody could easily go in Philly because it's under not ECW, but his style was kind of what built ECW.
What about Abdullah the Butcher?
He's already in there.
Oh, he's in there. Okay.
But you have Abdullah, but you don't have Bruiser, and they kind of were a package.
Yeah.
And Abdullah's got a ton of skeletons in his closet dealing with all of his hepatitis stuff. So
And uh, I, th- I think too, if Terry Funk wasn't already in, Terry Funk would have been great for Philadelphia,
right.
to be inducted. But
Tony Atlas, by the way, is who I'd have induct Brody.
100%,
So
yes, that would be great. I don't know if they ever will, because then you're going to get that story, and I don't know if they want that dark cloud over.
well, that story has also been recently retold and retold again, right?
Sure.
Dark Side of the Ring just
Yep.
told it last year.
No, it was in season 1, so it was
Oh, so a couple
it.
years ago then.
It's been a few years.
Yeah.
Which is a great look at it, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I had known of the story, but I didn't know as in detail as they told it
Mhm.
there. Yeah, that would be yeah, it's I think he should be inducted though, Bruiser Brody. I just
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if I see that happening right now.
I think Bruce Brody would be a good choice for Philly because of the hardcore history in the background, and I think that his son would be the one to accept on his behalf, of course. But I think it's that right level for the legend style, because they always have that like George the Animal Steel kind of level of legend that they always bring out during these one like 90% of people don't know, but the few that do, the ones that know, they know. And I think Brody would be a perfect one for that.
You know what would be another good one that should get inducted is Psycho Sid Vicious. That would be, I mean, just to hear his acceptance speech alone would be great.
Yeah, I only cringe because I can guarantee you somebody is going to do this stupid joke of being like, "Hey, get out there, Sid, go break a leg."
Oh geez.
All right, I cringe now for that.
Yeah. I could.
Because us wrestlers, we're horrible with puns, as proven earlier.
Yes, that is true. Or somebody making a joke. Sid was going to be here, but there was a softball tournament, and that before. It's like the only reason Sid's here is because his softball game got canceled, or something like that. It got rained out or whatever. Um, Now that I think about it,
Oh,
it doesn't make any sense. But Jerry Lawler, I totally picture him making all these jokes, inducting him or something. Or
right?
I totally picture
Who would who would you have induct him?
for Sid.
My first instinct was Hogan, but I don't think right now is the time for Hogan.
No, even though he was, at Rumble as far as so I mean they're using him. So,
Yeah.
but no, for Sid could be Flair. I mean, well, not now, I guess. Not the right
Yeah.
time for Flair either.
Sean?
Maybe Sean, maybe Undertaker,
Yeah.
maybe. Um, that's a good one. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Um, I'm not sure on that one. Who would induct Lex? I think he would want Sting.
Yeah, I think he'd want Sting too. Um,
Which maybe that would work.
yeah. By the time it comes
Yeah.
around, I mean, it's only 2 weeks until Sting's last match,
Right. So,
quote unquote. But I think Sting's actually going to stay away. Like, I think after his quote unquote last match, I think he would be one of the few that would stay away.
I could see him agreeing to induct Lex though. Like
Yeah.
Lex has, been so close to him and everything. I could see him showing up to induct Lex. Because other than that, who else would induct Lex? I'm trying to think of who that would be, and like everybody else is like
Bischoff?
probably not. Bischoff has never been the biggest Lex fan.
I mean, it's true, but like they have a decent history. Hogan again was the one I was going with, but similar problem.
Uh-huh. Who did oh, never mind, that's not I think it would have to be Sting if he's available, and if he's,
Yeah.
if they're will do that. I can't think of anybody else that would be more perfect too. Same thing with,
I feel like there was almost a pun there that you were going to go for, and then decided not to at the last minute.
I mean, it'd be the total package. Is that what you were thinking?
No, when you said there'd be nobody else that was perfect. And I thought they were going to go with the pun about, like, if he was still alive.
Oh, geez. No,
Yeah.
I was thinking like if Miss Elizabeth was still alive, that'd be.
Yeah. Well, there's a variety of people, like, if they were still alive, like Yoko, because of their great stuff that they had.
Mhm.
Bulldog.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
a lot of those for Lex. As far as if somebody like a Cyndi Lauper was getting inducted, who would induct her? You'd think that Hogan would be a natural one for Cyndi Lauper, or Piper if he was still alive, or
yeah. Who did she come down to the
Wendy
ring with
Richter?
in WrestleMania?
I
Yeah.
think Richter passed away too, though, didn't she, or is she still alive?
I don't know.
I think Richter's already in. Yeah, that's a tough one on that one. I think, but like, if Batista gets inducted, I think you have Triple H do it.
Wendy Richter doesn't seem like she's
Oh,
passed by anything I've seen. So yeah.
So maybe that would be somebody, but
Apparently, as of a month ago, they were trying. AEW was trying to get Wendy Richter to do a match.
oh my god, how she's got to be up there in age, like way up there in age. Like what? I mean,
I think I saw she was born in 58 or 68, so it wouldn't be that old.
No, it couldn't be, because it can't be 68, because that would mean that she wouldn't even
1960.
60.
She's 63 right now, so she totally could. I mean, not a great match.
I mean, it'd be like
totally
Mae Young or Fabulous Moolah wrestling when they were, that age, like they did. So maybe, but who would want to see that though? Like I don't know. It's. Did you just raise your hand like me?
Tony Khan.
No.
No, it was the shrug. Tony Khan would be my answer, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
The only person Tony Khan ever cares about is match-wise, putting himself over or getting himself over. No, popping himself. There's the word I was looking for. So
there's a joke in there somewhere. You make it yourself at home, guys.
we'll give you the pieces. You put it together.
Exactly. We give you the outside pieces of that puzzle.
Yeah, but Wendy Richter would be great for Cyndi Lauper to induct her.
Yeah. Triple H for Batista.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to do that one.
Yeah.
When do you think Triple H gets inducted? He's not in it, right?
He's in with DX.
Right. DX got inducted, but is he in by himself?
Let's see. He's not under the T's. Oh, he is. I'm like, he is inducted by himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What year? Does it? Sure.
Yeah. I don't have a year for it.
That's interesting. I don't remember him. I don't remember. Yeah,
I'll look it up.
I don't remember him going in by himself. But I mean, obviously, makes sense. Um, yeah, because he's just barely retired, like a year or two ago. Right,
Officially retired.
right, right. And it's a shame that he's probably like he should never have another match because of his health and whatnot. But how great would it be? That would be a great time to do a rematch with Triple H and The Rock at WrestleMania over the power of this power struggle of the WWE would be an interesting dynamic there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't think of anybody else like off the top of my head um that they could put in there this year. I mean, there's probably going to be going to be somebody they announce. I'm like, oh, didn't see that one coming, or I didn't even think of them, or I can't believe, yeah, I can't believe they're putting them in. Um, but honestly, like the Hall of Fame, I love watching the Hall of Fame. I really do. It's
Mhm.
I love that we get it unedited now on the network or Peacock or whatever. Uh, I love that they do that so that I do wish though that they they wouldn't have some of these guys limited to like 5-minute speeches. It's it's not the Academy Awards. It's on, it's streaming, so let them say whatever they want, and then I don't know, it's not on television. So I just think like some of the ones recently, like to limit their careers to 5 minutes, it's not quite fair, especially when ones that went previously, like Hillbilly Jim, took 35 minutes or whatever, 40 minutes to tell his, to say everything he wanted to say.
Well, I think it's also part of that, right? Like you don't want to have a ramble forever. So I think a set limit's fine, but I also agree like 5 minutes isn't really a good amount of
Mm-hmm.
time. Also, this list that we're looking at here does show Triple H in here, but it is him with DX. He has not
Ah,
been inducted individually.
there you go. There you go.
So,
He definitely
because
deserves
Billy
to.
Gunn's also on the list, and I know Billy Gunn hasn't been individually
Right,
done. So,
right. There you go. Triple H definitely deserves it one day.
Mhm.
Especially with everything, not just his in-ring career, but what he's doing behind the scenes too, and in management. I think it's that'll go down in history.
I agree.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be way interesting. I'm a huge like what Triple H has done the last couple of years. Like he's a creative genius.
yeah, he's revitalized not only WWE but like wrestling in general. Like wrestling, I don't think it's been hotter than it's been the last couple of years, since the Attitude Era. If not even then, um, for what it is, like the numbers right now for wrestling around the world, and not just here. Like during the Attitude Era, though, there was ostensibly three companies. You had to, you had to be in the know to know about like New Japan,
Mm-hmm.
right? And stuff like that, or AAA or CMLL or anything like that. You didn't know of them through the regular media. Even that, like ECW, like you didn't know that most of the time as a regular watcher of wrestling. You knew WCW and WWE. Now, thanks to everything that is the world and
Mm-hmm.
connection, like the WWE, AEW, New Japan, All Japan, DDT, Stardom, again, AAA, CMLL, MLW, GCW, hell, even DCW. We're all available for people at your fingertips and available at any time for you to see stuff like that. And people are watching, right? So the numbers for WWE might not be what they were in the Attitude Era, but I think that WWE is kind of doing the rising all ships scenario with the high tide that they bring in of fans.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good time to be a fan.
And Triple H is kind of the starwardness
Well,
of
and
that.
I love that he's a proponent of long-term storytelling. And the stories,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, make sense. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where things go, and I'm excited to see who gets inducted officially this year. Yeah, like I said, I just hope they give them enough time to tell their stories because I do enjoy them, especially when it's people I want to hear from. You can't give like you can't give Paul Heyman 5 minutes. Don't do it.
No,
That would be
no.
a crime.
If they induct Paul, you've got to get Paul at least 30
Yeah, there's
minutes.
so many stories he could tell. For sure.
All right, guys. Well, let us know what you guys think. Who is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year? Reach out to us on our social medias, which is Be Hero Media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and soon to be TikTok. As well as you can reach out to me directly at Mike Burke DCW on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Mike Burke Pro on Twitter/X. You can also reach out to Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on the Face of Books. Also, coming up for Devotion Championship Wrestling, we have some great shows coming up this weekend. We will be having a show up in Ogden, Kamikaze's Bar. It'll be Tussle Time 11, February 24th, this coming Saturday. So be super excited. I hope that you guys go out to the show and support everyone local in Utah. I actually will not be there. I'm actually going to be out of state wrestling for Impact Zone Wrestling, IZW, in Phoenix, Arizona, the same night. So come out for that. It's Monsters 2024 is the name of that show. I don't have the address on there. I apologize, but you can find it at IZW's Facebook, which I believe is Impact Zone Wrestling on Facebook. You can find them there. Also, coming up on March 9th, our next live taping we will be having, it will be Match Madness, featuring the returning QT Marshall, who, by the way, if you haven't heard, is now back with AEW once again.
We should have mentioned that in the news.
I know, I just forgot about that right now. Reach out to us on social medias to get tickets for both of those shows. It'll be this Saturday, February 29th for Tussle Time, and March 9th for Match Madness. And the social medias will be Facebook and Instagram, which is Devotion Championship Wrestling, TikTok, which is Devotion Wrestling, and Twitter/X, which is DCW Salt Lake City. Oh, man. Anything else, Psycho, before I get us out of here? Because I can't think of anything else.
No, I think that about covers it.
All right, guys. Well, for the rest of Be Hero Media, he has been Psycho, I have been Brian, and this is us tapping out. Have a good night, guys.